Welcome back to another episode of Train for Life Fitness Podcast. What if I told you that the ultimate fat loss, recovery, and just overall mental clarity tool in your arsenal, it isn't some grueling high-intensity interval class.
Right.
You know, the ones that leave you just totally gasping for air on the gym floor, but instead, it's a movement you've been doing since you were literally a toddler.
Yeah, it sounds almost too good to be true, honestly.
It really does. So we are doing a custom deep dive designed specifically for you today, and we're exploring this really fascinating philosophy from the fitness brand Lët'z. And I gotta say, the visual identity of this brand presents this crazy paradox right out of the gate.
Definitely jarring.
Right. Like you look at their logo and it's this fierce, intense, striking lion. So you immediately expect, the standard hardcore fitness aesthetic.
Yeah, you're expecting the screaming trainers, the heavy chalked up barbells, people throwing weights around.
Exactly. But then right next to this intense lion logo, they place these incredibly understated, almost quiet illustrations. Like there's a drawing of a woman just casually strolling along, carrying a tote bag.
And the young boy walking with a backpack.
Yeah, the boy with the backpack. It completely flips the script on what a quote-unquote hardcore fitness brand is supposed to look like.
Well, and that visual friction, it's highly intentional. It really forces you to stop and sort of reevaluate what actual strength looks like. Yeah.
Because we're so used to the extremes.
Exactly. We are operating in a fitness culture that is just utterly obsessed with extremes. I mean, if you're listening to this, you definitely know the environment. Everything is marketed around pushing to the absolute limit.
Destroying yourself in the gym.
Right. Destroying yourself and then wearing that exhaustion like it's a badge of honor. But the Let's Roar philosophy, it just strips all of that away.
So what are we getting into today with this?
Well, our mission for this deep dive is to explore why the most basic, untrendy, fundamentally human movement imaginable, which is just walking, serves as the ultimate physiological and psychological foundation.
I love that. Untrendy.
Yeah, it's not flashy. But we're looking at how this simple act fundamentally alters fat oxidation, how it rewires your nervous system, and really how it builds a lifelong, bulletproof fit identity.
Look, I hear the premise and I think it sounds great. But if you're someone who follows fitness trends, your brain has likely been wired by social media to believe that if you aren't sweating buckets, you are basically wasting your time.
Oh, 100%. The no pain, no gain mentality is so deeply ingrained.
It's a burnout culture. If you aren't utterly exhausted, you didn't even work out. But diving into the physiology here, it completely challenges that. Let's look at the friction points of modern fitness.
There are so many.
Right. Getting to the gym requires like an outfit change, a commute, finding parking, a warm-up, the actual intense session, the cool down, the shower. I mean, it is a massive hurdle.
It's a part-time job just getting there.
Exactly. Whereas walking requires zero prep. You literally just step out your front door. But my question is, does removing that friction actually move the needle physically?
That's the big question.
Or is it just, a concession prize for people who just don't want to train hard? I was thinking about this analogy. It feels like high-intensity workouts are like maxing out a physical credit card, right? And we pay for it later with extreme central nervous system fatigue.
That is a perfect way to look at it, actually.
So is walking more like putting steady, compounding interest into a savings account?
Yes. Let's break down the actual metabolic mechanics of that savings account, because I promise you it is far more powerful than a concession price.
Okay, lay it on me.
So when you engage in those max effort, high intensity workouts, you are throwing your body into a deeply sympathetic state.
Which is the fight or flight mode, right?
Yeah, exactly. Your fight or flight nervous system. Your brain perceives the intense physical stress of, say, a heavy lifting session or a sprint the exact same way it perceives running from a literal predator.
Wow. So it doesn't know the difference between a barbell and a bear?
Nope, not at all. It floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline. And look, in short, strategic bursts. That stress adaptation is what makes you stronger.
Right. You need some of that stress to grow.
You do. But if you are constantly maxing out that physical credit card, like you said, without adequate recovery, your body remains trapped in that chronic sympathetic drive.
And what happens then?
Systemic inflammation rises, your hormones get entirely thrown out of balance, and this is the crazy part, your body actually begins to hoard body fat as an evolutionary protective mechanism.
Wait, really? It holds on to fat because you're working out too hard?
Yes. You are essentially signaling to your metabolism that you are in constant danger. So it holds on to energy reserves to keep you alive.
Oh, man, which explains that terrible phenomenon, where you're just crushing yourself in the gym 6 days a week, you're eating super clean, and suddenly the scale will not budge.
Yep. The dreaded plateau.
And then you just crash. Like you feel incredibly bloated, your joints ache, you're ravenously hungry all the time.
Because your cortisol is through the roof.
Right. And you end up spending the whole weekend completely immobilized on the couch because your nervous system is just fried.
And that's where walking comes in, because it operates on a completely different physiological pathway. It keeps your body in a parasympathetic state.
The rest and digest mode.
Exactly. When you walk, especially at a brisk, steady pace, you are relying almost entirely on your aerobic energy system.
Okay, so it's a different fuel source.
Yeah, the aerobic system preferentially burns fat for fuel rather than stored glycogen. So you are stimulating blood flow, you're burning energy and upregulating your metabolism, but you're doing it in a way that signals absolute safety to your brain.
So no bear chasing you.
No bear. Cortisol levels drop. And that is the specific mechanism behind why consistent walking actually reduces systemic bloating and inflammation.
That makes so much sense. So it really is that continuous, gentle deposit into your health savings account.
Yielding compounding metabolic returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, without ever demanding a massive withdrawal from your central nervous system.
And this directly bridges the gap between the physical and the mental, I think, because if you're constantly physically depleted from those max effort workouts, your mental bandwidth just shrinks to zero.
Oh, absolutely. You have nothing left in the tank.
Right. It takes immense willpower to force yourself into another grueling session when your nervous system is screaming for rest. But because walking doesn't drain that battery, you actually start to see how this steady, rhythmic movement begins to create mental energy rather than consuming it.
The neurological shift is immediate. And it's measurable. When you take a steady 20-minute walk, the rhythmic bilateral movement of your limbs actually helps quiet the amygdala.
Remind me, the amygdala is...
It's the fear and anxiety center of your brain. So walking naturally lowers perceived stress and shifts your neurochemistry. It boosts the baseline levels of feel-good chemicals like serotonin and dopamine.
Oh, wow. So you're getting a chemical reward.
Yes. And it improves cognitive focus, enhances creative problem solving, and it even regulates your circadian rhythm so you sleep deeper at night. You aren't just burning calories, you are actively downregulating a hyperactive brain.
It's funny, though, because the path of least resistance when we feel that, that 3 p.m. afternoon slump, or when we're dealing with acute anxiety, our instinct is to just freeze.
Yep, we just shut down.
We sit on the couch and we immediately reach for the phone. And there is a specific concept in this material that really forces you to look at your own habits regarding that.
The doom scrolling reflex.
Yes, it challenges that instinct to doom scroll for a quick dopamine hit. And it suggests that instead of reaching for the phone when you feel off, you simply need to step outside and walk it off.
Because the digital dopamine hit is so accessible, but
it always leaves you feeling more drained. I never feel better after 30 minutes on social media.
Never. And it leaves you drained because it's a passive, empty dopamine spike. Social media algorithms are literally designed to spike your dopamine in unpredictable intervals.
Like a slot machine.
Exactly like a slot machine. It hijacks your brain's reward circuitry without requiring any physical effort from you. So it creates this anxiety loop.
But walking breaks that loop.
Yeah, by consciously choosing to step outside and, quote unquote, walk it off, you are forcing a physiological reset. You're engaging in what neuroscientists call optic flow.
Optic flow, what is that?
It's the visual sensation of objects moving past you as you move forward in space.
Like the trees and houses going by.
Right. This lateral eye movement has actually been shown to directly quiet the anxiety circuits in the brain.
That is wild. Just seeing things pass by calms you down.
Yeah. But beyond the immediate neurochemistry, there is a much deeper psychological layer at play here regarding human behavior, and that is the concept of the identity shift.
Ah, yes. The fit identity. This is huge in the Lët'z philosophy.
It is. The premise that every single walk is a vote for the type of person you want to become.
It reinforces that internal narrative of, I am someone who moves daily. I am someone who takes care of my health.
Exactly.
But I want to scrutinize that for a second.
Yeah.
Because how does a casual stroll around the neighborhood fundamentally change your identity?
What do you mean?
Well, if you're someone who hits the gym, pulling a new personal record on a heavy deadlift, that feels like a massive, undeniable confidence booster. You feel like an absolute superhero.
Oh, sure. The adrenaline is huge.
Right. So how does a basic walk compete with the psychological high of a heavy lift?
That's a great point. A heavy deadlift definitely provides an intense spike of event-based confidence. But lasting identity is not built on intensity.
It's not.
No, it is built on relentless consistency. And this is where most people completely misunderstand behavioral psychology.
Okay, unpack that for me.
The human brain does not build a durable self-image based on rare extreme events. It builds self-image based on daily, repeated evidence.
Ah, so what you do most of the time matters more.
Right. When people rely solely on those grueling workouts to define their fitness, their identity is fragile.
Because what happens when life gets in the way?
Exactly. The moment they get busy or travel for work or get slightly injured and miss a week of the gym, their identity as a quote-unquote fit person instantly shatters.
It becomes this awful binary trap. You are either an elite athlete crushing every single session, or you have failed completely and you might as well just eat a whole pizza on the couch.
Yep. There is no middle ground for those people.
And walking provides that middle ground.
Walking provides the ultimate middle ground. It is the quiet strength you build step by step. When you commit to moving your body every single day, regardless of the weather, regardless of your motivation levels.
Or how busy your schedule is.
Right. You are generating an unbroken chain of evidence that you show up for yourself.
It ceases to be about the specific caloric expenditure of that 20-minute walk.
Yes, it becomes an undeniable daily reinforcement of your values. That kind of relentless consistency makes fitness a deeply integrated, frictionless part of your daily life.
It cultivates this quiet, unshakable confidence that survives long after the adrenaline of a heavy lifting session has faded. I really appreciate that framing. Quiet strength.
It changes everything, doesn't it?
It really does. It reframes walking from a boring chore into a foundational psychological anchor. So, okay, we've established the physical sustainability, and we've unpacked the mental reset and the identity shift.
The whole package.
Right. So let's look at the practical toolkit. Because if you are listening to this and you are someone who does love those intense training sessions, like you love the barbell, you love the high heart rate, you might be thinking, this doesn't apply to you.
But it applies to the hardcore athlete almost more than anyone.
Really? How so?
For individuals pushing their physical limits, walking is never just a lazy rest day. It is actually the most potent form of active recovery available.
Which is counterintuitive, right? Because when your legs are completely fried from a heavy leg day, your instinct is to not move a single muscle. You just want to lie flat.
Oh, I know. Getting off the couch feels impossible.
Yeah. But the physiology of recovery actually demands movement. We know that heavy lifting creates micro tears in the muscle tissue.
Yes, and it leaves behind a buildup of metabolic waste products, which is what causes that crippling delayed onset muscle soreness.
The DOMS.
The dreaded DOMS. But if you just remain completely sedentary on your rest days, that recovery process stalls.
Why is that?
Because your lymphatic system, which is responsible for clearing out that metabolic waste, it does not have a central pump like the heart does for the cardiovascular system.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it relies entirely on muscular contraction to move fluid through the body.
So if you're not moving, the waste just sits there.
Pretty much. So light, rhythmic movement, like walking, acts as a gentle muscular pump. It circulates fresh, oxygenated, nutrient-dense blood into the damaged muscle tissue while simultaneously flushing out those metabolic byproducts.
And crucially, it does this without inflicting any additional structural damage to the muscle.
Exactly. The outcome is exponentially faster central nervous system recovery, drastically reduced soreness, and significantly enhanced performance when you actually return to the barbell the next day.
It is the invisible bridge between your hard workouts that actually makes the hard workouts effective.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And the data from the deep dive gives us very specific targets to aim for. The baseline metric they talk about is hitting between 8,000 and 10,000 steps a day.
Which sounds like a lot to some people.
It does, but the physiological cascade that happens when you consistently hit that threshold is massive.
It really is.
We're talking about mobilized body fat, highly optimized blood sugar levels, enhanced cardiovascular capacity, and just a much more resilient metabolism.
It's the sweet spot for human health.
But like you said, staring down a goal of 10,000 steps can feel like a part-time job. If you view it as one monolithic task you have to complete all at once, like I have to go march on a treadmill for 2 hours.
Right, which is exactly why the most successful individuals do not schedule walking as a standalone 60-minute workout block.
What do they do instead?
They integrate it through habit stacking. The secret to hitting that step threshold is leveraging NEAT.
NEAT. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis, right?
You got it. It is all the calories you burn simply living your life outside of formal exercise.
Oh.
You integrate quick wins.
Like what?
You pace the room while taking conference calls.
Yeah.
You deliberately park at the very back of the grocery store parking lot. You take the stairs instead of the elevator.
It's all those micro choices.
Exactly. You use a 10-minute walk as a mental palate cleanser between deep work tasks at your desk. You throw on a deep dive like this one and walk while you learn.
So it shifts from being a demanding application you have to manually launch every day to becoming more of a subtle operating system running silently in the background of your life.
That's a great analogy. It's frictionless.
Completely frictionless. And there is one specific micro habit in this toolkit that perfectly encapsulates this operating system approach. And honestly, it might be the most powerful tool of all.
The post-meal walk.
Yes, the 10-minute post-meal walk.
The post-meal walk is an absolute masterclass in human physiology.
Break it down for us because this is fascinating.
Okay, so when you consume a meal, particularly one containing carbohydrates, your digestive system breaks that food down into glucose, which then enters your bloodstream.
So your blood sugar naturally spikes?
Right. And if you remain completely sedentary after eating, say, moving straight from the dining table to the couch to watch TV, your body must rely entirely on the pancreas.
To do what?
To secrete insulin, which shuttles that glucose out of the blood and into the cells. And over time, heavy reliance on this mechanism can lead to insulin resistance and fat storage.
Because the pancreas is just working overtime.
Exactly. It gets exhausted.
But introducing just 10 minutes of movement intercepts that entire process. It completely changes the metabolic routing of the food you just ate.
It acts as a glucose sink.
A glucose sink.
Yeah. When you take a gentle 10-minute walk immediately after eating, the muscular contractions in your legs require immediate energy. Those contractions trigger the translocation of GLUT4 receptors to the surface of your muscle cells.
Okay, that sounds super scientific. What does that actually mean?
To put it simply, your muscles open their doors and pull the glucose directly out of your bloodstream to use as immediate fuel.
Wait, entirely bypassing the pancreas?
Entirely bypassing the need for a massive insulin spike from the pancreas.
That is incredible.
You effectively blunt the blood sugar spike, which prevents that awful lethargic post-meal energy crash we all get. You stabilize your mood, and you drastically improve your digestive transit time.
The return on investment for a mere 10 minutes is staggering, and it loops perfectly back to the identity shift we discussed earlier.
It really ties it all together.
Imagine the compounding effect over a year. You finish dinner, and instead of collapsing into the sofa to scroll through a feed of other people's lives...
The doom scroll.
Right. Instead of that, you step outside into the fresh air for just 10 minutes. You optimize your blood sugar, you aid your digestion, you clear your mental cache, you get a natural dopamine release.
And you cement that internal narrative of quiet strength.
It is the absolute synthesis of the Let's Roar ethos. We spend vast amounts of time and money overcomplicating our physical health.
Oh, yeah. We hunt for the most esoteric supplements, the most mathematically complex periodization routines, the flashiest biohacks on the market.
Yet the foundation of optimal human function remains simple, personal, and profoundly natural.
Walking is the ultimate, undeniable foundation. It is not flashy, but it is unequivocally one of the most powerful and sustainable habits a human being can cultivate.
It completely grounds you. It reminds you that true health isn't something you rent for an hour at a boutique gym, you know?
Yeah.
It is the way you move through your daily life.
That's spot on.
And that ties beautifully back to the Let's Roar brand mantra, which is so evocative. Once a lion, always a lion. True strength is not measured by how loud you roar for 1 hour a day.
Right.
It is measured by the quiet, unyielding consistency of your daily actions.
It is the ultimate test of ego. Can you commit to the unglamorous basics?
Most people can't.
Which leaves a fascinating question for everyone to consider moving forward.
What's that?
If walking, this beautifully untrendy, basic, entirely unflashy human movement, is actually this profoundly potent for optimizing your central nervous system, your metabolism, and your mental clarity,
Yeah.
what other quote-unquote boring everyday habits are you completely ignoring right now simply because they aren't exciting enough to post on social media?
Wow. That is definitely something to chew on. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, let's roar.